How are y'all doing? Today is the 4th of February, 2025. So, how are you doing? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you breathing deeply? Because we all need deep breathing right now. So I heard the felon, fake 45/47, defending the muskrat and a handful of minions inside that building with him, I guess. But he's given access. We know what Honest Abe, the felon, is, right? The 34-time felon. Do you really believe you can believe anything he says? That he is the gospel, the truth? Yeah. I was doing a reading earlier and phone call came in. I just had to take it. So doing this. One of the readings I'm going to do today is called the sector layout. We're going to do the sector layout for felon 47 and the muskrat. The team that seems to be at the top of the little a America of the ununited states. I'm going to use the blind spot oracle cards. These are not warm and fuzzy cards. Not by a long shot. I hope you are breathing. Find some, dance through the pain. You know? There has to be some kind of music in your psyche that just rocks your body involuntarily. You've heard it at some point in your life. Find it, put it on, let it move you. Let it transport you into another time, another era, another place. It will raise your vibration. Might not sound like much, but it is. It really, really is. I will be so happy when the world realizes, especially here in little A America, where the ununited states lives, we are electrical beings. Our cells vibrate at a frequency all to their own. Individually, we are very different. But we do know, thankfully, because some people have researched and mapped this and studied it, that we have to be tuned like an instrument because we are a human instrument. Yes, I got videos that'll be coming soon, I hope. Well, I can demonstrate this to you. Sound healing, vibrational healing, biofield healing. This is how we will heal ourselves in the future. When we become intelligent beings, we will realize, starting when we are babies and when we have babies, we will use tuning forks, sounds, the sounds of frequencies from the tuning forks to tune ourselves to our cells within our bodies, to the frequency that it had when we arrived on this planet as an infant. Okay. Are you depressed? Find yourself a biofield tuning practitioner. Heals depression. If you got ancestral trauma, heals that. If you have personal trauma, heals it. From what I've studied, or from what I've learned, this is the truth. So let's take a look. Anyway, I just want you all to be doing well. Keep resisting. Remember, Mondays are no buy. No buys on Mondays. We do not want to be supporting and rewarding the gluttonous greed of the corporations, the billionaires, the gluttonous greed. Yeah. And Amazon is at the top of that list. So do what you can to shop elsewhere. I understand some things we just can't. Fine. That's fine. But always look elsewhere first. Look for the little guy. And if you're having trouble with groceries, food banks usually have beans. I'm a really big believer on beans. You know, when things get rough, just keep a pot of beans on the stove. My dad actually grew up on beans. And on whoop-de-doo, big occasions, hopefully there's some spuds, some fried potatoes to go along with those beans. But then my background's rather different, you know, my lineage. My dad, at 6 years of age, with his family, headed west out of the Oklahoma Dust Bowl, opened a history book, and headed west for California. They were doing fine before they left Oklahoma, before the Dust Bowl came through. They weren't so fine in California. They never were fine again. Onion fields, potato fields, cotton fields. That was in their future. He was the second of the oldest. Dropped out of school in 9th grade to work the fields because his brothers and sisters were starving. Well, he was too, but it was the little ones. So, you think this is rough? Really? Crack open a history book. Check out the Great Depression, the food lines. We ain't there yet, not by a long shot. I would suggest that you start calling your representatives. And if they're Democrats, call them too. Because evidently, according to AOC, and I believe this woman, she's witnessed Democrats voting to approve unqualified idiots for the Republican Party. So please do call your representative, especially if they're a Democrat. Leave a piece of your mind with them. Don't be nice. Days of being nice are over. And tell them too. Days of being nice is over. Oh yeah. Okay, what's the blind spot? Let's do a sector layout on the felon. The 32-time felon, could be 34. I think it started at 36 and then dropped 2 or 4. So it's over 30, regardless. So what are the blind spots in the sector layout? First card's for money. Second position is relationships. Third position, health. Fourth position, spirituality. Okay. All right. I don't know what the shadow card does on that one. Let's see, though. Let's see. All right. In the first position, we have money. And kind of looks like a face to me. This is a seagull. Number 74. And that kind of looks like a face, doesn't it? Let's see what it says about the money. Blind spot. I don't know how this is going to go. I don't do a lot of these. And this is the first time I've done a sector layout. First time I've done a sector layout. Usually I just pull one card from here. But special day. Special day. And tomorrow, the 5th of February, there's supposed to be protests, gathering, kumbayas outside of every capital in every state in these ununited states of small a America. Okay. All right. Well, I found it. Means to an end attitude. This is old felon and muskrat. Means to an end attitude. My, oh my. If you have drawn this seagull, you are doing something you hate in order to get something you need, want, or like. You are approaching things with a means to an end attitude. Though this makes sense, it is a contradiction, and therefore makes it very hard to feel good about getting what you need, want, or like. And in many cases makes it impossible to actually get what you need, want, or like. I want you to imagine a person in a company wanting to climb the corporate ladder. Yeah. Chances are they will try to come up with a strategy to achieve that goal of getting what they want. That strategy is carried out with a means to an end attitude. Doing things we don't like and don't want to do in order to get what we want. What we are approaching getting what we want in a way where the ends justify the means. What we do is bulldoze the parts of ourselves that don't want to and don't enjoy doing something. We play a zero-sum game with those parts within ourselves Most of us will find ourselves in scenarios like this at some point. But imagine if every day of your life was lived this way, where the majority of the time you were doing something you didn't like and didn't want to do in order to get something you wanted. Here are some examples of the things we do when we approach the world with this attitude. We volunteer to do something we hate just to get the praise we crave from someone. We work a job we hate in order to get money. We don't follow our dreams, but we stick close to home with one of our parents and live our lives the way they want us to live so we can get a sense of approval from them. We spend years in college studying something we don't even have a passion for so we can have credibility and accolades. We quit our job and become a stay-at-home parent so that we can see ourselves as a good person. Or the opposite. We want to be a stay-at-home mom, but we get a job instead so we can get social esteem. We stay in a relationship that is abusive in order to get security. The question to ask yourself are, what do I really want? What am I currently doing in order to get what I want? What are the ways that I am doing what I don't want to do in order to get what I want? There is no way to have a happy life if you are living this way. People simply choose to settle in this way because they have been taught to believe that this is what everyone does and that there is no other option. It is a reality that some people are in more difficult positions than others. In terms of getting out of this strategy, this is especially true if we learned what we were little. This is especially true if we learned when we were little that doing what we don't want to do was the correct strategy to use in order to get what we wanted. But difficult position aside, it might be understood that in order to have a happy life, everyone must strive to have a life where the strategy taken to getting what you want is different from doing something you don't like and don't want to do to get it. Another potential, if you have drawn the seagull, is that we are being warned that the means we are using to justify the ends may not actually justify the ends at all. We may, in fact, be hurting ourselves and others in order to get what we need, want, and like. For example, if a dictator wants to take over another country, it is inevitable that many of his own countrymen will die. He has decided that the means, people dying, justify the ends, possessing a bigger empire. If this seagull has appeared, chances are that the means really do not justify the ends. If you have drawn the seagull, you're being called to change your strategy. This seagull is reminding you that to have a happy life, you need to do whatever you possibly can to find enjoyable means to get to the ends you want. If you want a happy life, you got to love not only getting what you want, but also what you do in order to get what you want. Okay, that was about the money. So that's how they do it. Yeah, okay. All right, so the next one is relationships. Oh boy. Okay, boy, oh boy. Let's see. Well, we're still up in the 70s. These first two cards are in the 70s. This one is number 77. Wonder. Abstract art. I find it interesting. Nothing else, but look at there's the top part. Huh. This is relationships. Okay. 77. Right up here. Upset. That's the title word. Upset. Okay. Remember, this is about Felon and the muskrat. Upset. If you have drawn this seagull, you do not have real clarity about why you are upset. You may even be denying that you are upset when you most definitely are. Improvement in this situation will happen once you can admit to the fact that you're upset and clearly understand why. Upset is your internal guidance system telling you that in this moment, an aspect of your life is out of alignment with what you desire. If your emotions were a compass, an upset is your compass alerting you that you have moved off a due north course. When you feel upset, it is critical to know that you cannot control this emotional upset once it has occurred. You can only respond to it. It is how you respond to an upset that makes the difference between going further off your course or back onto it. When we do not use an upset to alert us to awaken or to become fully aware, we tend to immediately, unconsciously react to the situation at hand. For example, we slam doors or smoke a cigarette or yell at people or take action that we feel gives us power over someone else. This reaction is a resistance to what is happening, and so it only serves to make matters worse. If you rearrange the order of the conjunct words that make up the word upset, you will arrive at an interesting truth. An upset is, in fact, a setup. It is a setup on behalf of the universe at large to make you completely aware of something you are currently unaware of. You are being set up to awaken. You are being set up to integrate what is unintegrated or heal what is unhealed within you. Because it is a setup, acknowledge that this is not the universe working against you. This is the universe offering you an opportunity. Because the universe is alerting you to an opportunity to awaken, you can treat an upset like an alarm clock going off and red flag popping up or a meditation bell. Let the discomfort of the upset snap you awake and bring all of your focus to the present moment so that all of your conscious attention can be placed on the situation at hand. Approach the upset with an attitude that you are being called to become aware of something in that moment. You must address each upset with the awareness that the upset is valid. It isn't a matter of whether it is right or wrong to feel that way. So let yourself feel your feelings completely without suppressing them or trying to force them to go away. Look at the recipe of an upset to isolate the actual ingredient that is causing the issue. There are three main ingredients that create the recipe of upset. A, an intention or desire that is opposed or prevented. B, an expectation that has been unfulfilled. C, an unsuccessful communication. Each upset is comprised of one or all of these ingredients, and all of these ingredients revolve around the fact that we think something should be a certain way and it is not. An example of an intention that is opposed or prevented is, I intend to get to work by 8 o'clock, but the traffic jam opposed that desire and prevented me from getting to work on time. Opposed or prevented intentions and desires cause us to feel emotions like hatred, rage, anger, or, if you are feeling especially powerless, feeling of helplessness, hopelessness, and despair. An example of an expectation that is unfulfilled is, I expect that my husband keeps me emotionally safe, but he told me something negative that someone else said about me, and it caused me to feel bad. Keep in mind that expectations can be highly unconscious and can give rise to feelings of disappointment, sorrow, and grief. An example of an unsuccessful communication is, I wanted to explain myself to my best friend, but all she did was hang up the phone when I called. Unsuccessful communication is a two-way street. It can be about us communicating to them or them communicating to us. Perhaps we failed to be able to communicate with the other person because of the way we worded something, or maybe they were simply not open to communication. Perhaps you withheld some authentic truth from them, or they withheld some authentic truth from you. When we experience unsuccessful communication, we may feel abused, like we failed, stuck, trapped, rejected, and violated. When we feel an upset, we need to make ourselves aware of what intention or desire is being opposed. What expectation is going unfulfilled, and or what needs to be communicated that is not being successfully communicated. We need to find a way to communicate directly with ourselves and with the people we are in conflict with about these deep roots of the upset, so we are no longer dealing with the surface of things. In other words, if my husband leaves his socks on the floor, my anger is not about the socks being on the floor. My anger could be about the fact that I expect him to respect me instead of take me for granted. And when he leaves his socks on the floor so I can pick them up, he is failing to meet my expectations. As a woman, I'm familiar with that one. Okay. The seagull shows up in your life when a message and upset is always a call to awaken. It is always a setup on behalf of the universe to call you to make a change in your thoughts, communication, actions, and situation. If you have drawn the seagull, it will benefit you to spend some time accepting in this energy of seagull 40 as well as this one, and coming to understand its message as well. Okay. All right. So, the felon and the muskrat. Money is all about means to an end. Relationships, well, what this one started out saying, it's just an upset. And the universe is orchestrating this for the two of them. Okay, so let's take a look at the health. And the health, we have 3. I got no idea what this means. We'll find out together. This is what they have drawn for the health card. Okay. Their motives. That's what it says on the health. In the health position, their motives. It says, If you've drawn the seagull, you are not seeing the true motives of the other person for perhaps multiple other people involved in the situation. Okay, so this just mean that the felon and the muskrat are not seeing the true motives of the other person. Unfortunately, if what you are unaware of were their positive intentions, you would have drawn a seagull that assists with your own fear and distrust. This seagull assists with situations where a person has motives and intentions that are not in alignment with your own best interests, and perhaps they have motives that are not in alignment with their own best interests. Sometimes, in order to preserve our idea of a reality that we want to be real, we ignore the actual reality. We want to believe that all people have our best interests at heart and also their own. We want to believe that all people have motives that are pure and conscious. If you have drawn this card, this is not the case relative to the situation you're in. So that you can get an idea of what this means, here are some examples. A woman is saying she loves a man, but really she just wants him for his money. A person is really only present and a friend in someone's life because of something they get out of that connection, such as significance, fame by proxy, status, or support, and will vanish the second that need is not being met. A person helps someone with the intention of gaining relationship security through implied indebtedness for having helped. A person says they want to do something that they really hate doing and that isn't in alignment for them to do so that they can get something they want. And ends justifies the means approach. We just had that one. That was the first card. Funny how these two tie together, huh? Okay. Or a person being two-faced, which always implies that true motives are not being exposed. What all of these scenarios have in common is that a person's motive are not always what they feign them to be. Be aware that people are perfectly capable of even fooling themselves in terms of the truth of their actual motives. It doesn't matter if the motive is conscious or unconscious. To be safe in this scenario, you need to be aware of their actual motives. Stay aware that we are perfectly capable of having mixed motives. We can have motives that are beneficial to those involved at the same time as having motives that are detrimental to those involved. This world is not black and white, but as long as a motive is subconscious and unseen, it is able to manipulate in ways that could harm all parties involved. And that was the health card in the sector layout. Now, this last one, well, we'll take a look at the shadow card too. The last one here is number 13. This is in the area of spirituality. So we got 13. Take a look at this. Oh, look at that. It's kind of like almost a heart. It's got almost a heart in there, which makes it even more special. Okay. Hopefully this won't be too long either. It's not a long one. Good. Those first two were long. Okay. It says, in spirituality, 13, it says their goodness. Their goodness. That must be why the heart, kind of heart shape is there, huh? Maybe. If you have drawn this seagull, you and potentially they are not clearly seeing the goodness, capability, or excellence of the other person / people involved in this situation. You are currently only aware of negatives and potential negatives. As a result, you are making decisions and taking actions relative to that person / those people that will not end up benefiting them or you. You are making decisions and taking actions relative to that person / their people that will not end up benefiting them or you. This is in the spirituality part. Okay. Ask yourself, what am I so afraid will happen if I admit to what is truly good and capable and excellent about them? Perhaps if we admit to their goodness, capability, or excellence, we will have to admit to our badness, incapability, or failure. Perhaps we are distrusting of others and taking note of their negatives so as to keep ourselves safe. If we see what is negative about them, we can justify protecting ourselves against potential ways they could injure us and thus shutting ourselves off to them or using criticism to try to get them to change. Know that you may have the very real tendency of interpreting other people's behaviors as having hostile intent, even when their behavior and intentions are either ambiguous or benign. Intention is everything when it comes to criticism and sharing our opinion. We have to be aware of why we feel the need to criticize and to share that opinion. And even if we have good intentions, we still must ask ourselves if, despite good intentions, our critique is harming the other person. The prerogative with negative criticism is to try to push something unwanted away from you. That is why it feels so resistant in nature. We are only critical of something when we are afraid we will be affected by it. Criticism is a cry for help in disguise. It is a cry for help that says I feel powerless to others, and so I can't trust myself to make myself feel good, and especially to feel emotionally safe. So I need you to correct this thing that is going to cause me pain so I don't have to feel bad. Also, when we have the tendency to criticize because we are trying to get a need met, we mask our criticism under the guise of help. If you have drawn the seagull in the situation at hand, either you do not see the other person's goodness, capability, and excellence, and or they do not see those qualities in themselves or each other. It would be wise to open your awareness and see it so that you can make decisions and take action that benefit both you and them. This is kind of all messed up. So, their goodness. We'll go here. So, number 3 was their motives. I'm going to write this down. 13, their goodness. 77. Oh, okay. 77 was their relationships. Relationships just an upset. Yeah. Relationships. And then a 13 is the spirituality. I'm just going to look at this again. And the 3 was the health. Health, spirituality, relationship. Oh, money was first. Money was 74. Okay. 3, 4. So that's money. And 74 means to an end attitude. An attitude. Boy, didn't that say it, huh? And then let's look at, well, we always got the shadow card, right? Number 38. Interesting. This one's clean. I mean, that's when I see it, that's what I see it. How clean is that, right? I don't know why, but that's what it looks like to me. It's just clean. All right, so the shadow card, number 38. Okay. Let's see what we got. How you doing? Huh? Now it's a little heavy, but we're in the heavy times. Heavy times. Oh, reactivity. Shadow card is reactivity. And see, the shadow card, that pretty much lays over all the cards that were read. Reactivity. Their motives on their health. Yeah. Motives. That's a reactivity thing. Spirituality. Their goodness. Reactivity thing. Relationships. Upset. Reactivity thing. Money. Means to an end. Attitude. Reactivity. So let's listen to what reactivity has to say. If you have drawn the seagull, you are currently emotionally reacting instead of responding. And you are not seeing what you are reacting in the way that you are. You are not seeing why you are reacting in the way that you are. I knew that didn't ring right the first time. As people, we only react when we feel deeply threatened. The reality is that you feel unsafe and or at risk in this scenario in some way. When we feel threatened, our survival mechanisms take over our capacity to objectively view or understand the situation at hand. These mechanisms make us act immediately. We react in order to avoid, postpone, or nullify the threat of loss. Like a gunshot shooting off a bullet, we act so quickly that we make serious mistakes which we can't take back and may spend a long time paying for. Yeah. If you have drawn the seagull, the threat and the circumstance is which you find yourself is not as imminent or as big as you think it is. Do you hear that? You hear that? Hear that? Let's listen to it again. The threat and the circumstances in which you find yourself is not as imminent or as big as you think it is. Okay? Now, hey, talking to us here. If you have drawn the seagull, the threat and the circumstances which you find yourself is not as imminent or as big as you think it is. It may not even be there at all. Oh, it's there. It may not even be there at all. You could have other things going on. It may not be there at all. But the idea of that threat is causing you to think, say, and do things that are making the problem much bigger than it was to begin with. And the more reactive you get, the more the potential for a solution will diminish. That's what we're thinking about here. Anytime we are reactive, we are on the defensive. This means we have a real vulnerability. We are hiding and guarding. What is that vulnerability? What are you really afraid of? What is really painful in this scenario? In this scenario, it is critical to stop, slow things down, and to do nothing until you are no longer in an emotionally charged state of being. That's very important. That's very wise. It's very insightful. It's never a good thing. So please do remember, stop, slow things down, and do nothing until you are no longer in an emotionally charged state of being. This is about the most important sentence that I've read out of all these 5 cards. This right here, for you and me. All right? You know, we both know what it's like to feel like you're landlocked into some emotional frenzy state. Oh, it's awful. It's awful. We don't want to act when we're like that. Okay. It says, when we walk into a lake, often we stir up the mud at the bottom of the lake, and this clouds the water so we cannot see clearly. We need to stand completely still to wait for the mud to settle back into the bottom of the water in order to see clearly. The mud in the water in this scenario is the charged emotion in our body. Do not act until it has settled. By slowing things down and refusing to act until the stirred up emotional mud has settled, you are giving yourself a chance to come out of the fight or flight mode and see that the situation from an objective standpoint. You can then respond according to that more objective understanding that you do have. A reaction is instantaneous and is therefore driven by the subconscious mind. This means it is driven by past trauma, beliefs, biases, prejudice, and primitive bodily functions. Because it is a function of the subconscious, you do it without thinking. Response, however, is driven by the conscious mind. It happens when we make a decision after evaluating long-term effects, the impact on others, as well as our deepest values and personal truth. Because it involves conscious choice, it is a byproduct of free will. If you have drawn this seagull, you are being asked to respond, not react. If you have drawn the seagull, it will benefit you to spend time accepting in the energy of Seagull 30 as well as this one and coming to understand its meaning as well. And I don't think I'm going to read 30 also. The title of that one is Short-Term Thinking. So we get the gist of it. All right. Reactivity ties in with short-term thinking. Okay, so we need to be careful. We need to be careful not to react. And you know what? 3-year-olds react. 2-year-olds react. That's all they do is react. We are adults. You are at least 18 years of age to even be listening to me. So you're all grown up. It's very important. Very important. I have to remind myself too. Don't react. Do not be in that reactivity shit. And it is. It's just a pile of shit. Okay? Reactivity. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay. So that's the blind spot. Okay. That was the blind spot on Felon 45, 47, and the Muskrat. Their motives, their goodness, relationships, money, yeah, and then the shadow. All right. So, how are we doing on time? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. 52 minutes. Well, let's have a happy card after that. Shall we? Let go of all this. I could read on karma cards. Just for those two. Just for this would make this a real different kind of reading, wouldn't it? And I know it's almost an hour and it's been a while. I think I'll put that one in a separate video. I'll do that. That way I'd keep this under an hour. Otherwise, we're going to go over and nobody wants that. I don't think you want that anyway. So let's see. I'm the dragon. Which one are we doing? We're going to do the Dragon Rider's Oracle. All right. Pull one of these beautiful, insightful cards. Only the dragon can come in and help us now after the blind spot. We read 5 of them. I usually do 1. And there were 5. Okay. Spirit. Come on. Help us push out the seagulls. Give us something uplifting and beautiful, insightful. Send us on our way. Oh. There's Lady Nadra and Prudence. True life happens from one moment to the next. You will find the love you long for in the here and now. Yeah. Isn't that pretty? Got that pink. Oh. Well, let's see what the message is here. Okay. Oh, 38. Okay, got it. Okay, the background information. Very few souls have been incarnated as often as Lady Nada. We have all met her. She has touched the lives of each and every one of us. She has lived as a priestess in Lemuria and Atlantis, and as Mary Magdalene, Saint Clare of Assisi, and Hildegard of Bingen. Her vibration is that of unconditional love, gratitude, divine grace, and selfless devotion. As an ascended master, it is her duty to open and heal our hearts so we can live higher love here on earth. We can live a higher love here on earth. A message from Lady Nada. I would like to guide you to find true divine love. You will be able to take a journey into yourself because the love of which I speak is a gift from the divine source of all being. You will find it only deep within yourself, in the still, quiet spaces of your heart, where you will also find your truth. Practice meditation, journey within, and soon you will become a meditation yourself, living from moment to moment. It will be a magnificent and full of light, and that deep recesses of the treasure chest that is your heart will open up. Love will be all around you, and when you are loved, nothing else but love is reflected in you. Lady Nada is connected with the wonderful female dragon Prudence. Prudence is unusual because she dwells in many time planes at once and occasionally loses the thread of the various conversations she is conducting on different levels of existence. She is a truly timeless being and is full of humor. All right. Here's a message from Prudence. We have come to remind you of the need to laugh more often. Avoid anything and anyone without a sense of humor. The very thought of it makes my skin crawl. Let us be cheerful together and start by smiling. It is not difficult. You just need to make the decision and smile. 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 All right. So that's a message from Lady Nada. All right. So that was beautiful. Okay. It's been almost an hour. All right. All right. Remember to take care of yourselves. I ordered some gear. I'm going to put together a portable grounding bag. I have an earthing bag. Yeah, that's what they'll be, an earthing bag. I got an earthing box that I did, but I needed something more portable and easier. And also with my therapy chair, I need one for each foot on each side of that chair. So, and I'm going to be sharing with you what I have done. And I got some other things coming up too. So I know I haven't been really out there lately. But we're all dealing with this best we can. Like I said, we've got to dance through this pain. We just have to meditate. I know I say it truly. And I will do my best to get the sound healing tape. It's going to be an hour. But I'm going to do a healing, sound healing tape for the channel. So you can use that. It involves 3 tuning forks. And I'll do my earthing bags in there and all that. So hopefully within the next week, I think I should be able to do that. So I love you all. Sending you all agape love, okay? Remember, love yourself, love the others, and be the light. You are the light. So don't be dimming it. Shine, shine, shine. All right? Do that. All right. And tomorrow is the 5th, at 11 a.m. Pacific, noon Mountain, 1 Central, 2 Eastern. Denise Fletcher Terrell and I will be live. Okay? So, open discussion, conversation, questions on just about anything. No health questions and no legal questions. That's just a given, but everything else is open, Politics, you want to talk politics, but anyway, I hope you're there. Come join us. Love you all, and see you tomorrow, hopefully. No, I'll see you soon. Bye for now.